I basically became Lance for like 24 hours because I, uh, I did
It
your
sounds a lot
job
better
at
on
the
the
Canadian.
podcast than it is in real life, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I did your job at the Canadians, and then the next day I edited an episode that you were about to edit. So I was like, dude, that's just doing Lance's work. What's going on? All right, so welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare, another Christmas special with my man Lance. Happy early Christmas. Not too sure
Yeah,
when the episode's going out, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, when this episode comes out, Christmas will be just around the corner. So we figured we touch base on luxury gear, our dream gear, basically seeing what Beyond the Game is going to be sending my way for Christmas, because I know he's always testing new equipment. So I'm just waiting to get his leftovers. So we'll see. I think I'm getting an RS4 on the way. Is that the latest thing you tested? Or so
It
I'm getting
is
that.
actually. Well, no, it's not the latest, but I do have an RS4 at the moment.
The latest for the public to know. We know you're always working on secret missions and no one knows what you're actually testing.
Well,
Um,
technically, the RS4 is the latest thing I tested that I actually get to keep. So yes, if there's one thing that you do have a shot at getting, it would be this one.
Actually, I have the RS3. So is there? I know, except now you can go from vertical to horizontal.
Mhm.
Is and the motors are more powerful, right? But it's, I
Yeah.
mean, everything else is pretty much the same. Like the controls and all that are pretty
Yeah, I
much.
think so. I think there's like you said, the motors are better. The coating on the arms and stuff, because like when you're balancing a gimbal, it's always a bit hard when you're trying to just like move it by a couple of
Yeah, like
millimeters. Like it's always a
sticks.
bit, yeah. So now the coating's a bit smoother, basically. I think it's I can't remember what texture it is, but it is smoother. So it helps for that. And I'm not too sure, like the RS3, like I don't feel, because I have the RS3 as well. And I don't feel like it came with a focus motor. Like
No.
those things that you can. No, it doesn't. Yeah. So the RS4 does come with like there's a normal sort of base where you just put like a camera, or there's like a bigger one that has like a rod attachment, and the rod comes with it, and then there's the focus motor that you can attach to the rod. So basically, you can either manual focus, and obviously you can use you don't have to, it's all connected through Bluetooth and stuff. So yeah, you can either control the focus or the zoom on your camera, which that's pretty cool, especially like I tested with my Sony G Master 7200, which is not super easy to balance, but if you get it to work, because that lens has an internal zoom, it doesn't extend when you zoom in, so you don't have to worry about balancing. So if you got a zoom lens that has an internal zoom, it's pretty good for that. And also it controls, obviously, if you got like a power zoom lens, you can control it. You don't need the focus zoom, the focus motor at all. So yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Well, they come a long way if you can balance that lens on it now, because I mean the payload is just getting heavier and heavier, which is
Yeah.
great. Now, does it still come with Raven Eye? Like I had an RS2 Pro one that I actually got rid of, but that had the Raven Eye and all that with it.
Yeah, the pro version does, but not the normal one.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see if it makes it on my Christmas list or not. I have to wait. But we had a pretty exciting week here. So this is our second time trying to film this episode. I had a little bit of emergency the other day. I had to drop everything in the middle of our recording, and it turned out for a big night for you because you replaced me at the Canadians. So how is that?
I basically became Lance for like 24 hours because I, uh, I did
It
your
sounds a lot
job
better
at
on
the
the
Canadian.
podcast than it is in real life, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I did your job at the Canadians, and then the next day I edited an episode that you were about to edit. So I was like, dude, that's just doing Lance's work. What's going on? But no, it was funny with the Canadians, because they called me, and you mentioned to me like the week before that they were looking for help and stuff. So when the guy called me and he was talking about potentially working and stuff, I was like, oh yeah. And I'm saying yes to everything, and it's just like at the end of the call, it's like, all right, well, so the call time is like 5 o'clock. See you later. I was like, oh, we're talking today. It's like 2:30. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm filming at the abs tonight. But yeah, no, it was fun. I was doing your camera as well, and so I saw how easy you have it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
no, I'm joking. No, it's actually hard. It's you don't realize like I was telling you that night by text. It's like, you know, a little bit to the left. There's the separation between the two glasses, and then on the right, yeah, on the left there's the separation thing, so you can't really film that far, and then on the right there's a cable that holds like the goal lights, and so you really have like a very small window to shoot through. So if you're trying to go a bit to the left or to the right without sort of getting too much, and because there's someone sitting right next to you that paid, I don't know how many hundreds of
Six
dollars
hundred
to get
bucks for
that
that
ticket.
ticket, I guess.
Yeah, so
About.
you don't want to be too annoying. So yeah, it's not that easy. So kudos to you for doing that 40 times a year.
That's why my back's sore, my shoulder's shot, you know? But honestly, I enjoy that camera the most because I feel like you're part of it. Like you're really close. Like, I don't know, did you get any bumps or bruises? Like I one time got a black eye because my camera was too close to the glass and there was a big hit and it jumped me back when I first started. But like your knees get hurt, your feet when guys miss the net on a shot. Or my favorite thing is I tell everybody because they always put their beer on the lip and I tell
Yeah,
them,
I
don't put your
told them.
beer there. It's going to spill. And at least once every 10 games, someone gets a full beer on them. And I try not to laugh, but I'm also more concerned that the beer does not get on me or my
Yeah,
camera.
exactly. That's why the same thing during the warm up. The guys next to me were drinking beers and they were putting them there, and I just said, just so you know, when the game starts, if there's a body check, that beer is not staying there. So just, you know, be careful. Because yeah, I didn't want to. It was a cold night. I didn't want to have to be in the trench pair of jeans.
Well, I
But
appreciate you filling in for me, E, and you know, editing the last show and taking
oh,
my job at the Canadians. So now I know if there is an emergency and I just want to take a day off, I have a replacement now, you know? I know those
okay.
were extreme circumstances, but everything worked out. So thanks a lot, buddy. I really, really
Uh, no,
appreciate it.
no,
So
it was
maybe I'll have
all.
to listen to your Christmas list and get you something off of it now, considering, you know, you helped me out. So do you want to dive into this then?
Yes.
All right. So we're talking dream gear, treat yourself. Like, so my list, I didn't go out for the most expensive stuff. I went for the stuff that I like the most or the stuff that I would want to get in the future. Like, I'm not going like crazy
The
red cameras and stuff like that.
oh yeah,
Yes, I
no
would
me.
want one. I'd want one if you know, but it's not something that I want to use all the time. So, what do you want to start with first? What's the first on your list?
Well, should we start like let's go per
Oh,
like
per category?
yeah, so like let's start like cameras for example, and then I'll say my dream camera, and then you can say yours, and then we can do lenses, and we can do like
Okay, so what do you think we should start with first?
I'd go cameras.
All right, let's go
You know,
camera.
that's what everybody wants to know. Let me just
Yeah, yeah.
put up my camera so I don't
So
because
red,
I'm gonna talk about
Komodo, what
specs.
else? No.
No, I don't know how to handle a red camera. So
I know you want a ZVE10 2. That's what you really want for your
no, I'm
main cam.
actually gonna surprise probably a lot of people. Because all right, I've got the specs up. Well, the condensed version. Yeah, because everybody knows me as mostly like a Sony person, but what you don't know, or well, maybe you do if you've been watching my videos for a very long time, is that I used to be on Canon cameras. I used to be on C100s for a very very long time, and so at this point, if I had to buy my dream camera where money was no object, I've never tried it, so maybe I'd be disappointed. But I think I would go for the new, the very recent Canon C400, which is it's a 6K full frame camera. So you know, usually with the C100 to C200s, even the C70, like they're all like it's a crop sensor, but this one's is a full frame. Yeah, I think you can film in 6K up to 60p. Sorry, I'm making sure I'm not saying you know, crazy stuff. So yeah, and you can obviously 4K 120. I think you can switch your mount if you want to switch from RF to PL mount. What else can you do? Oh yeah, there's a triple base ISO. So there's an ISO like 800, 3200, and 1200, 12,800. Improved, autofocus. You can record internally like cinema, raw, all these different things. But yeah, to me, I think that would be because I think it's like the perfect mix of like obviously very future proofed with the 6K, 60p, all that stuff. There's stabilization as well, by the way, that I forgot to mention. But so it's got everything I need now to the fullest, like to the best of like whatever you could get right now. And it's even got like things that, will be are just sort of starting now and will be relevant for at least the next 5 years. So yeah, I think to me that would be like the ideal camera. But I haven't tried it. I think let's me what how much does it cost? It's $8,000. It's not that bad for what it does.
So it's equivalent to the new A1 Mach 2 that they came out with, the Sony, like price wise.
Okay. But this one's
Yeah.
bigger though. It's like it's more of it's a cinema camera, so it's probably the size of an FX6 or an FX9, probably more an FX6. And obviously fans, all that stuff. Um, so, but yeah, it does mean that you have to go to Canon with RF lenses. It's probably like CF cards and all the different things. So like a lot of everything around it is probably more expensive than going the Sony route. But the camera itself is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. As now, are you going with one camera, or are you going with a two camera setup in your bag? Is there another camera you want to pair with that? Since we have no budget, right?
Yeah, well, I always to be honest, like if I was to go with like a B camera, it would probably be a C70. I never tried it. I was supposed to try one back in the day when I got my FX3 and I was talking to Canon Australia at the time and they were willing to let me one to sort of test it and make a video about it. But it was right during COVID and the Sydney offices were shut down and it just never happened. But all that said, that I've never actually touched it, but it looked great. The only thing that annoyed me is because I do use like XLR microphones and stuff, and the XLR attachments were like they're like mini XLR, so you have to put like you can just put like like a converter from mini to normal size, but it just meant that it would be like an extra sort of big metal thing dangling that I was like, well, this doesn't.
You don't like accessories. We know. You just
No,
want it
no.
plain and simple. No accessories for you.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I can have this small camera that has everything on it, or I can get the Canon version that seems like there's gonna be like things dangling and hitting the camera, and it's a crop sensor, like for on the Canons and stuff. Like it doesn't really like the quality is not affected that much. So you can still like there's a lot of light going in still, but but yeah, so if I was to get like a B camera, I'm thinking might as well have like a Canon as well so that the colors match and everything and use the same lenses. So that would probably be my setup, like maybe a C400 and a C70. And that way when the C400 is too complex or too big for the job, I can just take the C70. I'm making a whole 180,
I know.
like just leaving Sony and like
You're not testing any more Sony cameras. That Sony rep is not calling you to test
yeah,
any more
exactly.
cameras.
As
You
soon as
just
I get a little
lost the
money,
number.
I'm out.
That's it.
See ya. No, it's also a lot of curiosity as well. 'Cause like I said, I haven't tried them, so it's just, they look cool. Never tried them. It'd be fun.
I'm a loyal guy. I don't just jump ship and try other brands, okay? So me, I'm boring. My B cam is actually my favorite camera that I ever had, which I unfortunately don't have anymore. There's a whole story behind it, but it's gone. And that's the Sony A7S III. That is a workhorse camera. I love that camera. I like it better than the FX3, hands
Oh, you're
down.
gonna say like a Canon
No,
XL1. Remember
no,
that
no,
one?
no. I had a GL1, a Canon GL1, and that thing
Yeah.
rocked. It was a 3CCD. That was big back then. Anyway, so my B cam is an A7S III, and I know it's a $5,000 B cam, but we got no price range right here, so we're just going with what we want. Now my A cam, I got a tie. There's two. If I'm staying in the Sony family, I'm getting an FX6. I'm getting an FX6 for 2 reasons. That camera has everything you need, and when clients see that camera, they think
They
you're
know you mean
serious.
business.
They're like, "Wow, okay, he's worth the price. Look at his camera." But the other camera that I have tied with is a camera that I've actually used a couple times, and I really like it. The only thing is I don't like putting it on a tripod, and that is the DJI Ronin 4D.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the one with with the gimbal on it and the 2 handles. It's so cool. It gives you such amazing shots. It's great, but it looks stupid on a tripod for an interview. So that's where it's kind of like if you pull it out and you're following clients on a walking tour or you have your client, that is money.
Yeah. But what's the lens on that thing? Is it like a fixed lens, or can you like
No,
how
you
that
could change the
works?
lenses. You could change the lenses.
Okay.
So the only thing is you have to either get a Metabones, like a ring adapter for Sony lenses or other lenses, or use the DJI lenses.
Okay.
Now, we have the DJI lenses at the Habs, so we have one variable and one fixed. We usually use the fixed because it's just wide and they're walking around in crowd and stuff like that anyway. And obviously, as you know, the wider your shot, the more stable it is. Right. So it looks so good. Like in the summer, I've mentioned this before in this show, like I was chasing kids running the bases during a baseball tournament and it
Mm.
looked great. And so I really, really enjoy that camera. And it's not that awkward to hold. Like it's balanced really well when you have it. So it's not that hard. I mean, maybe you can get like a little strap that helps it a
Mm.
little bit more. But it's something that like I would definitely buy for my company or to do bigger projects because it replaces the gimbal
Yeah.
and I could do a lot of different creative shots with it that I maybe wouldn't do normally.
So would that be your main camera, or is it like a camera that you would use for specific
That's the issue.
support?
That's why I said it's a tie. Like an FX6 is your main camera, right? The 4D, it's kind of hard. Like I'm telling you, if I did an interview with you and I threw that on a tripod, you're going to be like, what is this? It works the same. It looks the same. It looks good. It's just, have some weird feelings about it because I don't think it should go on a tripod pod. For me, it's a handheld camera. But I mean, hey, if there's no budget, then I'll buy both. I'll just buy both. That's it. It's about 10 grand. Yeah. No, it's not cheap, man. Actually, it's a little more by the time you add accessories like battery and all that. But like it has a V mount battery already. Like, you don't need cage for it. So you do save on other stuff that you would buy for another camera. But it's really, really fun. Like I've enjoyed shooting with that, testing with it, using the D log and that. It looks really, really good. So that's something that I would splurge on. But if like FX6 or that.
No, I like the FX6. I've seen it. I've touched it, but I've never like actually did like a full shoot with it. But to me, it came down to like between that and the FX3, you're basically choosing between stabilization on the FX3 versus internal NDs on the FX6. And the internal NDs on the FX6 are like on the Canons, for example. I don't know if that C400 it definitely has. Well, definitely. I'm pretty sure it has internal NDs, but like I remember the C100s back in the days, I had them, and it's like a wheel where you have to choose between. There's basically 3 NDs that you can switch. There's
Yeah, just a
like
knob. 1, 2, 3.
yeah, exactly. Where this one on the FX6, it's like electronic, so you just put it on auto and it just adjusts to the light, which is awesome. So that's a really cool thing to have. You can just go from indoors to outdoors, and they'll be pretty much seamless. But is that more important to me than stabilization? Not really. And so yeah, at the end of the day, and obviously it's more expensive than the FX3. So I was like, well, you know what? I'd rather get the FX3. And
It's
sorry, I
easier
don't know if you can
too.
hear, my neighbors are back at the
Oh, they're
construction.
back at work? It it's easier too for transport, right? The smaller camera.
Yeah,
The only thing
exactly.
that I was disappointed with Sony when they came out the FX6 is, to me, it just looked like a gray FS5. Like it
Yeah.
didn't look like they did anything. It was like, sorry, Apple, but it's like when they come with the new iPhone. Every year, all they do is they move around the cameras on the back and they're like, oh my God, it's so much better. But you
Yeah.
get it. It's not so much better. So I was disappointed when I heard they were coming with the FX6 when it was coming out. I thought it was going to be like different, and then it basically is a gray FS5,
Yeah.
which was a great camera at the time too. No, it does way more,
Better
but I
quality.
mean,
Yeah.
look wise, no. But when you saw it,
Yeah. I
I
see
was
what
like,
you
oh
mean. Yeah.
man, because when you look at red cameras, let's like red looks cool. The image quality is amazing at 8. You got 8K, but they look cool. The only thing is, like, I've worked with one, and having to build it is not fun. Like, you have to put on every accessory just to use that thing. So that's why that red kimono and that did not make my list.
Yeah. The FX6 is a bit like that on the audio side. I think there's no like internal mic on the body. So like if you actually want audio, you have to put the handle where the mics are, all the mic inputs. So yeah, it is modular, but to a degree. But it does come with it's like the monitor, the LCD screen on it is big enough that you probably won't need a field monitor on top of it, depending what you're doing. Like I'm sure some people have one, but
Yeah, for sports, you don't really need. Maybe if you're doing interviews or a movie or something, then yeah.
there you are saving money on certain things, but and you're not buying variable NDs either. So.
So who's winning this camera debate? You or me? What do you think?
Oh,
Did I throw you the curveball with the Ronin 4D?
yeah,
Figured
kinda,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I would
Yeah, you
actually. You kind of had me at Canon. I was like, what?
yeah.
We're allowed saying that word on this show? I never heard that word on this show before.
Traitor. My first
Uh,
love.
That's it. That's it. All right. So next, is there any other B cams that you want to add in that you would buy personally? Like,
Well, I just want to say I'm still very happy with my FX3. Like it's not like I'm trying to move away from my cameras. We're just we're talking, but yeah, no, and also I haven't really looked at all the specs, but the FX9 is probably a great camera to have too. Like well, I know it is. I just don't know exactly. I don't want to speculate about what the specs are, but it is like a proper cinema camera that can shoot movies and stuff. So it is a great camera. But yeah, well,
we're not paying. We're not. I'm not buying that.
No,
It's
exactly.
too. It's not. If somebody wants to buy it for me, I'll definitely use it. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around 15 grand. So, I'm sure it's awesome. Should we move to lenses?
Sure.
What did you have other cameras?
No. We'll go to lenses for sure. For sure. All right, you go first.
Well, I thought I'd mention a couple lenses, like a telephoto and a more of a wide, wider option. So that telephoto I already have, to be honest. I don't see really a lens that's better for what I do anyway. A lens that's better than the Sony 70-200 f2.8 G Master lens Mark II.
We know the most expensive lens in the universe that you have. We know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no,
No,
it
it's
is
a lot, but it's
expensive,
great.
but yeah, it's a 70-200. It's f2.8. It's got stabilization, internal zoom, super like the zoom, the focus, like very fluid, very great all around. Yeah, no complaints. Very sharp, very responsive. So to me, as a telephoto lens for sports, this is it. But it is 70-200. So it's if you're filming indoor sports. Lately, I've been filming a fair bit of like high school and cégep, like college, like basketball. So smaller gyms. I'm very close to the action. I would never be able to use that lens. Well, I could, but yeah, I would crop out a lot, especially if I'm posting on Instagram trying to film. Look, I would definitely have to film vertical, but even then I'd be cropping half their bodies. So all that to say that for my second option, that's where I'm going somewhere that again I haven't tried, but if all goes well, I should eventually. Which is, let me make sure I don't say anything wrong. It is, yeah, that's what it is. The new Sony that just came out, the new full frame Sony lens 28-70 f2 G Master lens. So you basically, 28 to 70 at f2, which is great because usually it's always like f2.8. So now you got a wider aperture, and it's a G Master, so it's pretty. Usually they're always quite sharp and quite good with autofocus and all that stuff. And it's the latest lens that Sony released, so it has all the latest technology. So very eager to try it. And yeah, I think because now when I do film wide, I do still have like a Tamron 2870. Yeah, it's the same. But I never use it. I always end up because I've got my 24 and my 35 sort of G Master lenses. So often, well, no, that's not true actually. For basketball, what usually happens is that I'm using the Tamron 35 to 150. But yeah, I'm thinking that new Sony one, that F2 could be even better. I'm not sure if it has stabilization in it. Probably not. That wide. Probably doesn't need it. Oh no, there isn't.
Thank God
That's
there's no
fine.
price, right? Because that's the issue with all these lenses. They are expensive. Like I'm part of the Tamron family. I got
Oh yeah,
the Tamron trio. I want the Sony ones, but unfortunately, I'm too cheap to buy them. And the
yeah,
Tamron work really great. They work great. The glass is great. With our cameras, the Sony ones do work better.
yeah. Because that one is that new 2870 is well $2,900 basically
Imagine.
US. So
And the exchange rate isn't good, guys. For you guys listening in the States right now, the exchange rate is not good for us. So yeah, it's a pricey lens.
yeah, so definitely Tamron. Like you, that's what I used to have as well. Like that, I had the 17 to 28, I think. Well, which I still have, and then the 2870, and then the 70 to 180. The only one I got rid of is the 70 to 180 when I got my Sony. But and it was a strategic move because I was selling all my gear, moving from Australia to Canada. So I was like, I'm gonna sell my tripods, all these different things, and then just buy like a lens that can sort of do it all. And I won't need a tripod as much. And so yeah, it all made sense at the time, basically. But yeah, definitely used a lot of Tamron lenses. Still do, but like I said before, that one Tamron lens that I use all the time, it's not the cheapest one either. Like I think that 35 to 150, it's probably $1,300 or something like that.
The 35 to 150, that's like $2,200,
Oh,
$2,400.
see,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the lens that I wanted to get when I first got my mirrorless camera, because all the YouTubers were using it, is the 16 to 35 2.8 Sony. And there's no way I was spending it's $2,600. But everybody has that lens, like Peter McKinnon, Matty Hapoya, Potato Jet, all those guys, they all have it. And you're like, oh man, if I get that, my video is gonna look like them. No, no, it's not. But that was the first one that I really, really want to get. And it's still on my list to get.
what would you film with that?
I would use it as my wide. I've just used it as my wide. I'd probably be in 35 majority of the time, but at least I can go to 16 if I want to get wider. And that's because even my Tamron, I have this 17-28. I'm usually in 28. So then when you have a 28-75, you don't really need that wide angle. Like I just have it in case, or if I'm doing real estate stuff or establishing shots, that's when I pull it out the wide.
Your secret vlog YouTube channel.
That's it. No, but here I would use the 16-35 on this.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I have it right now at 28-75. I'm using a 28, but I could use 35. I could be even closer to you guys, or I could just move closer. So what else you got? Lenses you want to get? Anything else?
To be honest, like if you're if the well if like the Sony is definitely an expensive option, but speaking of the Tamron version, the second generation, the one like I had the first version, that's why I got rid of it, but the second version, the Mark II, that one is better than the predecessor, and it has stabilization, which the first version didn't. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
that is can't I'll check how much it is, but much cheaper than the Sony, which is like I think $3,000 or somewhere around that. But
So one Sony lens that I'm in love with that I would buy just for fun is the 50mm 1.2. But that's, look, it's on sale for $2,400 right now because I don't have a nifty 50 like in my kit. Like I feel like you need a prime 50, and that's like one of the next purchases I'm going to do. Yes, I have variable lenses that can do a 50, but I find 50mm for interviews and that is so good, and especially a 1.2. Your background is extra creamy, so that's something that I am planning on getting, and that's one of my lenses that I would definitely buy if budget wasn't into the equation.
See, I just checked the Sony, the one that I have, 70-200 is $2,800, and the Tamron version, which is probably not as great, but technically does the same things, is $1,200.
So for outdoor sports, if I had no budget, I'd buy this. It's a new 70-200. No, sorry, the 200-600,
Yeah,
5.6. I would get that. That's $2,500. But you can cover football, soccer, baseball, no problem with that.
I'd like to try that 60-600 as well.
And honestly, when you got a big lens on your camera, you look cool. You look very, very cool when you show up. I used to freak out at baseball.
Cool.
How all these photographers would have these big lenses and they would just like sit them on the ground and just switch back and forth. And it always like freaked me out that they would just leave these expensive lenses lying around.
Yeah, that's always it's always the scary part.
Anyway, those are my lenses that I would get.
Yeah, because there's also a Sigma 60-600.
Okay.
Because the thing with the 200-600, you have to be filming from fair distance, because 200 mil, if that's your widest, you can't be too close. But 60-600, I'm not too sure if it's actually a full frame. Oh yeah, it is full frame.
But it's crazy how the bokeh works on that. Like it's a 5.6, but since it's 200-600,
Yeah,
the background looks like you have like a 1.8 or 2.8, depending.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks really, really good. So, and it has stabilization. That's why you're paying $3,000 for it.
So I don't think that Sigma one. Oh yeah, it does have image stabilization. So yeah, that one looks cool. I'd be very keen to try it, because like 60 is actually wider than what I'm used to when I'm filming outdoor sports with my 70-200. But then you can go all the way to 600. So
it seems like the new lenses are adding in more stabilization. Like everybody seems to be going that route,
yeah,
which is nice, because these cameras, every little shake makes a difference. Especially if you're always bringing into catalyst browse, or like you use warp stabilizer all the time. So at least it cuts back on all that extra work.
All right, what's our next category?
All right, we'll go. I'll pick the next category, but I know you don't like this one. Drones.
All right, that's all you.
It's all me.
I don't really know anything about drones. The last drone I bought was a Spark.
No, was it?
Yeah.
So I have the Mini Pro 3, which I love, but I would honestly just upgrade to the Mini Pro 4, or by the time this show comes out next week, there'll be a Mini Pro 5 out, I guess, because they come out with one like every 10 months, it seems. But I find those are perfect especially for sports. You throw them in your camera bag. You don't need a license really for them to use them. They're great for establishing shots. So I'm very happy with the DJI stuff. It's not so much about price anyway. They're about $1,000. But for me, I'd rather get a drone that I like than get a more expensive one that I don't. So I'm very comfortable with that. So for me, I'd pick the DJI Mini Pro 4 for sure.
And those Mini Pro, those are not FPV drones.
No.
Are they?
No.
Have you ever tried an FPV drone?
No.
I'd be curious to try that.
I'd be scared a little bit, because I was never good at like Mario Kart and stuff like that as a kid. So I feel like I wouldn't be good at this.
Well, that's true, because like people now like we've seen all the videos of like these FPV drones that get into buildings and go in between like two little beams and almost closed window and all that sort of stuff. And so that's the expectation. So if you show up with one, they'll be like, all right, cool, let's do the shot where you go there, you do this, you do that, and you're like, all right, well, let's see what happens. I've been on a shoot where someone, like not me, but it was a proper drone operator. He had one. He did hit a wall once, so it's not, like what you see on the internet is the good stuff. You don't see the mistakes.
I am very big on the program shots that DJI provides. So you got rocket, you got circle. Like those are very, very good and easy to do. So I like those ones. I will do maneuvers and try some stuff, but I know I'll film those the presets in there.
So what's that? Is that it just flies by itself?
Yeah. So you pick like so like you lock in on an area and it'll do a 360 around that area.
Ah, okay.
Or rocket, it will go on it and it'll pull back. So it's really, really good for establishing shots or closing shots, stuff like that. So you got the shot if you use it. The only reason I prefer trying to do it manually is they kind of have a setting where it switches to like automatic almost. So your picture profile is automatic, your frame rate's 30 instead of 60. You don't have control over that. At least on my model, maybe the new one you do. So I try to do it. I'll use the program shot and I'll try to do it myself too, just so I can kind of control the settings. It's easier to color correct, stuff like that too. All right. So drones is a small category since basically I know you had a bad experience with the drone. You crashed yours. And ever since then, you never got another one, right?
Well, I crashed it a couple times, but no, just yeah, it was just too complicated. Like at events, either they would say no, or they'd complain because they'd be like, "Whoever's flying a drone, please stop." So I just yeah, stop.
First time I crashed mine, my friend said to me, "Do you even really own a drone until you crash it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Because then you're not so afraid. Like as long as it's not the arms broken off, if it's just the propellers, you got to change them anyway after like every 30 flights. So you're supposed to. I don't. I'm like more of a 60, 90 flight kind of guy, or till they're really, really chewed up. But the first time you crash it, you're like, oh my God, but it's not the end of the world. Like I really advise people get that DJI insurance. I didn't get it. And then when I crashed it, I panicked, and then thank God my camera was okay. But I wish I had it. So now I my next one, I'm getting that insurance for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really see why I would need one, to be honest. So that's why I'm not getting one. It's not that I don't like them; they're nice, but I think it would be one of those things that I would pay a lot of money for. And it would just sit on a shelf, and I would use it like once a year.
Well, on your YouTube channels, you could use it quite a bit if you wanted to. But for covering sporting events, it's kind of harder. But for like your intros and stuff like that, you can. So I think Beyond the Game should invest in one, and you should get out there. You're talking about upping your game in your last YouTube video with the gimbal. There you go.
No, it's true. And then yeah, you're actually right. I remember when I did have one, I used it probably mostly for that. It was like transition shots where, well, it was more like vlogging back then. So it was like, I'd be getting out of the office and there'd be like an overhead shot from the drone as I'm walking to my car and then driving off. Or I would be like doing a road trip and I would put the drone up in the air, like park on the side of the road. It'd be like a sort of a dirt road, like in the so outside of the city, and I would just have like the drone up in the air, and then you'd see the car like drive by, like in the movies, sort of thing. So, so yeah, definitely like very cool shots that you're only with a drone you'd be able to get by yourself. Uh, but yeah,
A drone makes you plan out your shots. I find like you don't just go up there and fly and be like, all right, like you're constantly thinking, okay, what am I getting? What am I doing? Because you have 25 minutes between batteries, right? So in those 25 minutes, you're trying to get as many shots as you can and you're planning stuff. So I don't know. I think it's something you could add to your bag. So now speaking of bags, what's your preferred no limits camera bag you would buy?
I don't know that many different brands. I like the one I have. Like it's I can't remember. Can't see the
You've done
brand.
this before. You know the name of it. You're like, I love it, but I don't know the name
Yeah,
of
yeah, I think we had this conversation before.
it.
Deja vu. But otherwise I really love, not that I use it that much these days, but my case, which is Nanook, I think the brand is. The same one as Peter Sorellis. He made a video about it. So if people saw that video, it's that one. It's really, it's convenient because it's the size of a, you can bring it on a plane.
It's a carry-on. It's the same size as a
Yeah,
carry-on, right?
exactly. It's carry-on size. It's got wheels, and in the inside there's compartments, and in the door itself, there's actual like things like pockets that you can slide all your cables and your little things that would normally just fly around there. You'd have to like put things over the compartments, and it's just annoying for the little stuff. But that one has like little pockets that are really really helpful. It's really good, and I used it to travel from Australia to Canada. Put all my lenses and the most fragile and expensive stuff was in there, traveling with me. Um, and yeah, that's definitely something that I was really happy to have bought. And I haven't tried that many, but because I'm actually pretty. I'm a bit loose with my with my gear, as you know. Is usually just sitting next to me on the passenger seat. If I
Ready to
feel like
go.
it's an awkward position, maybe I'll put my backpack underneath to try to do like a little cushion, but that's about it. So, so for me, that's all I need really. But
You need to invest in the sacks, so you can just put it on your car seat, and then you rest your camera on top, and then put it
yeah,
in your.
but it's just like I don't know. I feel like we overprotect these things sometimes, and I get why, but just sometimes I think we overdo it, and we focus so much on whether it's people like they absolutely want weather sealing, and weatherproof this and all that stuff. But when it rains, everybody's got the rain cover, and they're like, I'm not using my camera. It's like, well, what was the point of putting all that money on weather sealing then? Like, so it's
It's
and
precautions. It's because people are afraid that their gear's gonna get ruined.
oh yeah, because the last thing you want is
Yeah, you film, like, in sandy area and stuff like that, people are then afraid of the dust, and it's just human it's almost like human nature, you wanna protect what's expensive.
I just feel like for me, like obviously my lenses, I'll try to protect the glass, but yeah, like leaving my camera on the car seat with everything on it doesn't bother me at all. Actually, I love it because that way I show up to a shoot and I'm ready to go. I find it really annoying to have to put my camera together on locations where I don't actually have like a table or something where I can just sort of spread my stuff around. Like it's always kind of awkward. I'm on the ground next to a football field, and it's just yeah. If I can show up ready to go, also
You
means I
like your
can
little
show up a bit
knapsack.
later. So yeah, I'm a bit careless with that stuff, but touch wood, so far so good. Nothing's happened. I've been lucky. What about you? Do you have like a favorite bag or?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I have a fair bag. But I do wanna get one of those, hard cases, the Nanook ones. I would like to get one of those for traveling and that, because what I actually use in my camera bag is my favorite camera bag. I have the 35-liter Peter McKinnon. Now, that bag's expensive. Like, I didn't pay full price for it. I actually a guy bought it on Marketplace and hated it, and I got it off him a week later. Like, he gave me the receipt, everything, so it was a good deal. But it's big, man. Like, when I I go into airports and that thing's packed with all my gear, I'm so afraid they're gonna either make me check in my carry-on or my knapsack because there's no way that thing is fitting in that little container that they make you fit it in. I just try and like avoid them at all costs so they don't really see how big it is. But it is huge. But everything fits in there. You like two cameras, drone. I have my Zion light in there, my gimbal. Everything's in that bag. So I love it. Um, you know what? It's durable. Like I've had it 2 years. No, yeah, a year and a half now, I'd say. Wear and tear very minimal. Like you don't notice scratches on it. It feels nice. It's weather resistant. It's not waterproof, but weather resistant, so it doesn't really get wet. Um, I've dropped it. My stuff didn't break, so I trust it. Not a big drop, but sometimes when you're juggling a whole bunch of stuff, I dropped my camera bag and I was really scared, and everything was protected. So for me, that bag is really the number one. It's one of my favorite pieces of equipment I bought because I use it on every shoot.
Big call.
Yeah, no, but I bring it in every shoot. That's everything goes in there.
Yeah,
I empty it out. What I do is I empty it out though because I was finding it really heavy, and then I realized
mm,
how much crap I had in it because it's so big that I'll put cables here, I'll put a
yeah,
clapboard here, I'll put my little drone landing strip in there, everything. So now I empty it before a shoot. I fill it with what I need, and it's a lot lighter.
Yeah, and what's good as well with bags, I don't know about that one, but like what I like about mine is that you can open it from the top, or you can also open it from the side and things. So when you need something in the bag, you don't have to go through everything else. If something's at the bottom, like you don't have to go through everything else. You can go to like a side sort of opening and just get it from the bottom. And there's like a little protection case, so that's usually where I'll put like my second camera and stuff, so that when you're buying your bag, like different sort of access and protection within the bag is always a good thing to look for.
Yeah, the side pocket goes right to your camera. So if you had this, you'd be confused because you'd go in for your camera, but it'd already be on your car seat.
True. No, but or the second one.
Oh, your second one. Okay, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because that one isn't. Because the main one has the monitor, everything, the mic. So that one is sitting next to me, but the second one would be typically there if I'm doing a proper shoot. It's there as just in case the first one something happens to the first one. But when I'm doing my YouTube video, that's the one that I'm using to do my behind the scenes. So it's just FX30 with like a 24 mil lens on it, and that's it. So that just fits in the little box inside my bag, and that's perfect. I even pre screw in like because I'll put it on the small like little photography tripod just so that it's high enough to get all 6'3" of me. So I'll put the attachment to the tripod before I leave the house. That when I get there, I can just put it straight on the tripod. I really minimize the amount of work I have to do once
He is
I'm
doing all his
already
work before he leaves the house. Everything is set. He's just showing up
Yes.
and pressing record. When he presses
Yes.
record.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to do as less prep as I have to once I get there.
I haven't put it on my car seat, but I have, had my camera rig ready now, and I have it in my back seat on the floor. It is a lot faster. It is. It's just scary, like if you get into an accident or something like that, I'm always worried. I feel like my camera is safer in my bag. Next up, let's want to talk some fun stuff, like some accessories. Then, what are you adding to this Canon Canon equipment that you have there, E?
Before we started, I thought we'd probably talk stabilization, but we kind of
Oh,
did
sorry, I have it
anyway.
in there. I like the must-have accessories, like stabilization would probably be the first one, I thought.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But like we kind of talked about it earlier when
Oh,
like because I was gonna say the RS4 would definitely be so far for me the best gimbal I've ever used in terms of what it's the payload and what it can do and all that stuff. But if money was no object, I'd like to try one of those what are they called, like the one that are sort of attached to around your chest, and it's like this thing that goes
the
over because
easy
there's
arm or
yeah, easy rig.
easy rig,
Yeah,
easy rig.
so I've never tried it because it's cool because it has, obviously there's a lot of stabilization from it, but it's also a bit of like it's good for like documentaries, like run and gun, because you're able to follow anyone, but there's still a little bit of just like a bit of movement that's just natural, but just not too annoying, not too like jittery. But it's just big, so I'd like to try one for specific shoots, but I don't think I'd be wearing it all the time. Like definitely not. Like especially not during a sporting event where I have to move through a crowd, for example.
See, I'd rather get that mini Pocket 4, the DJI Pocket 4, instead of another stabilizer. And that's on my 2025 list that I will buy, because it just, first of all, the shots, at least what I see online, it looks so good, and it's just so small. So I know it fits in my camera bag. I know I got room for it. I know it probably doesn't look the most professional, because you're expecting a bigger camera, but it does the job. It's basically pretty much the same camera that's on your drone. So that's what I would get instead of a new stabilizer.
Or you could just walk with your drone in your hand.
I've actually tried it. I've tried it. It actually looks okay, but this with the, like, I think it's good for, you just flip the screen and you go from horizontal to vertical video. Very, very easy. So for reels and that, it's really nice. Especially like think about you do basketball videos and that, you just flip that screen and you don't have to worry about cropping things out or blocking things out on your own in your external monitor.
Any other stabilization options?
No more stabilization. Oh, yeah, actually, there is. I want that small rig potato jet
Oh, the
tripod.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Those are cool.
It's like $800, but you just press the handle and it drops and it self levels everything. Yeah, I want to try. I would buy one of those for sure because especially for you want to save time. Well, if you just press the handle and your tripod's already level.
And it's not that heavy as well, because that's the other thing that's usually annoying with tripods is that you're carrying your camera in one hand and then the tripod in the other. So, and if you're walking around, like around the football field, for example, during 2 hours, um, a few pounds less makes a difference.
For sure. So that's it for me for stabilization.
Me too.
All right.
Or do you have any other extra accessories that you think would
I want
make
a
the
Ninja.
world a better place?
I want a Ninja monitor.
I have one.
Do you have one? I don't have one, and I want one, but I don't
never use it.
That's it. Well, that's the problem. Nobody uses them. Everyone says they have them, but they never use them. But if money was an object, I'd buy the Ninja monitor. It just seems like it's the best monitor. You have touch focus. You can record on the monitor too.
There's no touch focus.
There's no touch focus?
No. Well, not on mine. I've got the.
Well, I thought the new one does. No?
Oh, maybe. Mine's old, but I've got the 5. There's no touch focus.
Okay.
On that thing.
Well, the one I want.
To be fair, I haven't updated it in years.
So that's why you don't use it. Now we see why you don't use it. It's an old one. So what E's telling everybody listening is he doesn't use old equipment. He just lets it sit there. He puts on his little workbench that he used to have behind him. He just puts his old equipment there.
No, because the problem with the Ninja 5 anyway, the one that I have, first of all, it's heavy. Second of all, the battery goes pretty quickly through batteries because it's very bright and it does a lot of things. And also for that reason, the fan makes a lot of noise. So in studio, definitely a no-go for me unless it's far away from a very directional microphone. And to be honest, the main reason why I got it is because I thought I would be doing a lot more, when I'm doing my reviews, my gear reviews, like if I'm talking about a camera and I want to record the menu, for example, like I wanted to be able to just have like the record the camera feed, but with the actual info display, which because in camera, it's not actually 16:9, the menu. So when you record it on the Ninja, it's actually like 4:3. So it doesn't look that great. So I end up always just shooting my camera with another camera, just shooting my LCD screen from another camera, and it just looks better. So I just do that. And so yes, I don't use the Ninja that much. And I tried, because the upside of the Ninja as well is that you can record like with my camera, I can record like in RAW, and I tried it once and I was really struggling with the color correcting. Like the quality looked nice, the colors were disgusting, but like I had to do what you're supposed to do afterwards, but I just couldn't get it to work. I only tried it once, so like I had no idea what I was doing. But and obviously you need like at least like those little SSD like cards that you use to record. Like I have a 1 terabyte, and you can probably record like 45 minutes on it, something like that, because you're recording in like ProRes 422.
Yeah, it's the highest quality.
Yeah, so it's like, and that ProRes 422, I think, because I've used it. The only time I use it is to record my friend's kid likes to do like YouTube like gaming videos. So I'll record the PlayStation on the Ninja. So I can tell you that 55 minutes is pretty much the limit in ProRes. But I think if you're going like full RAW, it's even less than that.
So you're telling the kid, you're like, just crash or just die because the car's full, bud, and it's time to end the game.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to do multiple episodes to get through that to the game. That's for sure.
Anyway, I would like a Ninja monitor.
So I pretty much destroyed your
I know,
monitor dreams.
I just want one.
You can't do this.
I just want one to have one. Okay, I don't have one. I have a Feel World one. It's good. It's good, but it's not Ninja. But I mean, they have the app also now, right? That you can use your phone as the monitor too if you buy the software. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe it's a cheaper option because I don't want to record on it. I just want touch focus on my monitor.
Well, you should get the Porkeys. Porkey does touch focus on their monitors. They're pretty good. The one that I have, I think, like ticks all the boxes. The only thing that's annoying with it, which is the LH7P, and it's 7-inch, so it's pretty big, pretty bright, 4K, all that stuff. But the only issue with it, well, first of all, to connect, so for the camera and the monitor to talk to each other, so you can do touch focus. And we talk about touch focus because that's the coolest one. But you can, you can fix your aperture, you can change your ISO, you can change everything from the monitor, which means that now you don't have to sort of look at your monitor to see what you're doing, but then look at your LCD screen to change the settings or make sure that your settings are good, things like that. You can do it all on the monitor, which is great. But to actually connect it to the camera, it's obviously doable. Like I've done it, but I couldn't tell you exactly how I got it to work the first time. Like once you get it to work, it connects every time after that. It's super simple, but the first time it is complicated. It is hard. And like half the people who bought a monitor, who bought that monitor because they watched the video that I made about it, like contacting me afterwards, like, how the hell did you do this? I've been working on this for 3 hours, can't get it to work. So yeah, it's not easy, but once you get it to work, it's you're set. Like it's not going away. And the other thing is that it's like a 1000 nits, like the brightness of the screen, which for outdoors during the day, it's sort of the minimum that I would say is acceptable. Like I think you always can see what's on your monitor, but sometimes if the sun's really sort of hitting hard, like it can, like, like there's a Field World, for example, that's made for outdoors. That one is like 3000 or 5000, something like that. So that is really like, you don't need to worry about putting like a hood or anything. Like you're good. But yeah, other than that, that Porky's one is Portuguese. Sorry, not Porky's. That's a different
That's a movie, buddy.
different thing.
That's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
my
yeah,
issue with
Porky's.
my Field World monitor, it's so I don't have touch focus, and when I use it with my Sony A7 IV, you either can have it mirror, so I'll see all my settings, but then your screen on the camera doesn't work. But then I can't do touch focus. So I have to leave all my settings here on my Sony monitor. And then on my Fieldworld monitor, I just use it as a monitor. But sometimes if you get bring it too close to you, you can't tell if you're recording because you can't see the record. So that's what I don't like. So that's why I wanted to get a Ninja, but now I'll have to see because you destroyed the one thing that I wanted.
Well, like I said, I've got an old version that I haven't done probably the last 5 or 6 firmware updates, so it's probably much better than I make it sound like. But and there's other models as well, like the Shinobi and all these other ones. Like
That's the one I was looking at, actually. Sorry, there's Ninja and Shinobi. Shinobi's the other one.
yeah,
That's the newer one, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So that
Right, so-
maybe that's the one with the touch. I'll have to do my homework. I didn't do my homework on it. I just wanted one because I don't have
because
one.
they're cool.
Okay. Yeah, I want to be with the cool kids. Now, speaking of cool kids, my favorite thing, action cameras. For me, I love action cameras because I use them as my B cam all the time, or to put in small places, or for time lapse, or you're not really worried if something happens, if they get wet or anything like that. So for me, action cams, I'm sticking with the OG GoPro. I have 11s. I would get the new GoPro 13, and I think that's good enough for action cam. I know the DJI makes a really, really good one. But once you already have the accessories and you're already used to one menu and that, why switch? They all do about the same thing. I would throw in a 360 cam though. I've never tried the Insta360, so would like to get an X4 eventually because I would like to do offer like for corporate stuff is like walkthroughs where you could do like a walkthrough of a house or a factory or whatever. With that, you have to use Matterport as a software to go work with it. But it's definitely something that I would like to try because I never tried it. Now it's a pain in the ass to edit, everyone says, because you have to kind of figure out what clips you want to export and how you want to export it. But I really, really want to try one. So I would add more GoPros to my bag and an X4 for action cam.
Yeah, because I've got like a Instago 2, I think, and I'm pretty sure there's been a newer version since. I'd be curious to try that new one because I don't use it enough to be because it was good like for me for like again for my YouTube stuff to have. I could put it on my chest. It's like yay big, and
Yeah, the Go 2 or something, I think it's called.
yeah,
You have the magnet.
and then you can the magnet like on the necklace, and then it's sort of it's subtle because I don't like having a big GoPro like strap thing, and if I can just have this little thing like people don't really notice it, and then I can do like first person sort of point of view. If I'm reviewing a camera, for example, you can see the camera in front of me, and I can do all these different shots. Or when I would go to an event, I would wear it, and I get like the walk-in sort of shot. You could put it on a player for sports purposes. You could put it on a player during a warm up. You know what I mean? Like just going from the locker room, like doing like a team sort of huddle, and then walking out, going on the doing like the layup lane and all that sort of stuff. Like that would be a cool shot. So the quality of the version that I have, not that great indoors if it's not like super bright, but maybe the newer version because I'm pretty sure one came out either this year or late last year.
Yeah,
So
they come out every year.
yeah, I'd be
That's cool.
curious.
Yeah, I never thought about getting that camera, but yeah, for POV videos and stuff, that's perfect. Like,
Yeah,
especially they have the hat clip too. A
yeah,
lot of guys
exactly,
clip their hat, so you can click, it clips to your expo hat, so you'll be fine.
exactly. Put it on the during this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we're going a little long here. We didn't even get through all our stuff.
Apologies. Is there a part two?
No, I don't think there's a part two to this. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to the questions we want to ask. What was the most useful accessory you added to your kit in the last year?
Well, I'm gonna sound repetitive, but I want to say that gimbal because it's one of those things like
How
I
much did DJI
mentioned.
pay you for this video? Okay, because for a
No,
guy who didn't like gimbals, you're a changed dude. This
I
RS4
know,
changed your life.
I know. Well, it's a timing thing. First of all, I realized that probably like I didn't really know anything about gimbals, so like I didn't really touch like the last time I was filming with a gimbal, like all the settings were just like default. This time I kind of took the time to understand the difference between the different modes, and I adjusted all the responsiveness to like the fastest sort of option. So following the action, I think football would still be a stretch. Like you wouldn't be able to follow like especially maybe kids, but like on the professional level, like trying to follow
Yeah.
a
Well,
quarterback pass.
it's good if
That's
the
a good
guys are
level.
running towards you and stuff, but depending on where you have to make sure you're in the right position.
Yeah, runs could be fine, but like throws, like forget about it. Like you're never unless it's coming towards you. But like if you're on the side, try to keep up with like a quarterback throwing the ball like 30 yards away. Like good luck, unless you're on the super wide lens. But anyway, my point is, I thought that like what I'm complaining about right now with with football throws, I thought that applied to basically everything. And I realize now that you can actually film decent shots, especially like indoor sports, I'd say, with a gimbal, especially if you got sort of decent court access. Like for example, yesterday I was shooting again at one of my nephew's games, but this time was an exhibition game. It was like a charity game where yeah, it was anyway. I won't get into it, but it was a charity game, so no one cared. So I could actually, put a foot or two on the actual court as long as I'm not getting in the way. Like no one's gonna say anything. Or if I was doing like a traveling sort of tracking shot, I would actually walk in front of the bench. Like they didn't care. I wouldn't be able to do that in a normal game, obviously. But if you do have that sort of extra access, like yeah, you can do some really cool stuff with a gimbal. But I think for me, it also came at a time where, like I explained in my last video, I felt like I wasn't really, I was getting very lazy with the way I was filming on game day, I wasn't really that creative. Yeah, I was getting too comfortable. I wasn't putting the effort to get like good composition and nice cinematic shots and things like that. So I decided to change a few things, maybe shoot wider, get like nice sort of, backgrounds, worry about a bit more about the background, like what's happening behind the action, how can I maximize, make it better, all that sort of stuff. And a gimbal is perfect for that guy. Because I think like, and someone actually wrote in the comments like saying, I think like every time you shoot with a gimbal, you automatically become more intentional about how you're filming, like kind of what you were saying earlier about drones, I think like, yeah, you just become more intentional. You're trying like different camera movements, and you're trying like different angles that now you can access, and not, you don't have to worry about shaking because the camera's just, you're extending your arms and stuff. So you can try different things. And so from that perspective, I think like the gimbal is very cool. But like tomorrow, for example, I've got a shoot where I've got a lot of things to worry about, and I don't want to be dealing with a gimbal, because like if I have to switch lens really quickly, I don't want to be on a gimbal. Like, you know what I mean? So there's
I do enjoy using my gimbal, and you're right. You plan more, you pay more attention to your shots than when you're just handheld. And I'll flag those gimbal shots, and I'm guaranteeing you I'm using those gimbal shots in my edit, because I've taken time with composition. So a gimbal's a great tool, but like you, it's just the hard part for me is not using it, it's bringing it. I don't want the extra gear, I don't want the extra stuff, so that's why I wanna get maybe a Pocket 3, but I do enjoy gimbals, but not bringing them, put in my camera bag and stuff. So my accessory is actually something that I already had, but I just upgraded the model, and it's my, ND filter. I got the Peter McKinnon, Polar Pro one, with a polarizer, and wow, it was a game changer just because of the stops. Because sometimes, when you're filming in log, you need that ND filter, and you're I was outside and I'm going from sunny to shady or just a little off, and it's just a stop, and you know where you are on the lens. And for me, that was a big game changer. Trying to When you have the ones without the stop, and you're turning constantly, and you don't really know where you are on that ND. Where on this one, you know exactly where you are. Okay, I'm on stop 2, I'm on stop 3. So that was a game changer, and I was always afraid to pull the trigger because I found it silly to have $1,000 Tamron lens and a $300 filter. And that what I couldn't get over it. But then once I realized it made my work better and it made my job easier, I was like, why didn't I buy this a long time ago? Why did I buy a cheaper filter back in the day and struggle with it? Where this, I know exactly where I am. My colors are way better. Everything's easier for me. So that was a little accessory that made a big difference this year, for me, and I'm glad that I pulled the trigger.
well, I'm
Yeah,
glad too, 'cause we've been shooting together sometimes. So
that's it. That's it. Now,
a
last
win for
question
you is a
before we
win for
wrap
me.
this up. All right, what?
I said a win for you is a win for me.
That's it. Well, now that you're my replacement, now that you got to, first of all, it sucks. You got a game next week to film. You got a podcast now to edit. You're busy, buddy. You're busy. No Christmas holidays for you. I got to work. I got a list for you. All right. Last question. So, how do you prioritize your next accessory that you're going to be adding to your bag?
I think it's whatever your biggest pain point is, like whatever is annoying you during your shoots, the things that you wish you could do but you can't, or the things that you do but always mess up because maybe it's not, you're always shaky, maybe you're always too wide, maybe whatever the thing that's annoying you the most is, that's what you should, maybe you want a doubler, maybe you want a gimbal to stabilize, maybe you want NDs because your shots are always overexposed, maybe whatever it is, that thing that annoys you the most, that's what it is.
Actually, that's a great way to put it. I wasn't thinking it that way. I always think about it as, okay, how am I going to use this on multiple jobs, and how I'm going to use this piece in my regular workload, which is just a different way of what you said. But yeah, I guess it's solving my pain points. And I guess the other thing I try to prioritize when I'm buying it. So say when I pick out the item, because there's always a couple price points in that item. I try not to look at the price. I say which one's going to last longest or which one has the best quality, and then I make my choice off of that. Because sometimes there are equipment that's more expensive, like say in lenses is a good example, where sometimes even though it's a more expensive lens, it feels cheap or feels like not that great, where a cheaper model might feel a little bit better. So I'll go with what I feel will be the most durable and will last me the longest. And I try and leave price out of it, even though it does play a small factor. Because obviously, if we could save money, we'll save money. Not on today's show, but in normal life, yeah.
Yeah.
When I don't have Ease credit card, yeah, I'm trying to save money. But what we want to do is we're not going to be doing a show the 25th. So we will see you guys in the new year.
Yes.
And that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.